Welcome, beautiful Paris Saint Germain family. I know you guys have been waiting for this video for a very long time, and we're here to absolutely cook and critique Luis Campos. We're currently sitting at the 31st of July, and the only confirmed signing has been Matvei Safarov, with João Neves soon to be sealed. But this has been an absolute disaster full of a window from Luis Campos. I've been hearing people say, oh my God, let's wait. That's why I said back in June. You don't say let's wait in July. Obviously, we can still sign players. Obviously, we can still recover from this window. But what's happened so far, no Kvara, no Euro, all of this disappointment and complete embarrassment. The optics at PSG are so disgusting. It's disgusting. But you know what? First, let's go through some valuable excuses for Luis Campos' horrendous of a transfer window. First of all, we obviously have this situation with Kylian Mbappe and Nasser Khalifi. Up to 100 million, which we may have to pay to him or we may not. So that's at least 100 million off the transfer budget, which obviously has a negative effect on negotiations. Then I would say Kylian Mbappe leaving to Real Madrid obviously takes away attractiveness from joining Paris Saint Germain. We obviously remember from before when a lot of players used to join us, they wanted to join us because we had Mbappe and we had obviously Neymar and Messi at the club. And the last thing obviously is the Copa America and the Euros and ongoing Olympics when it comes to the Due. These have been three stuff that have been postponing and making the transfer window hard. But these are some small valuable excuses. This is not acceptable at Paris Saint Germain. This is not acceptable. There are pretty much four players we've missed out already this summer. Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, Lenny Yoro, Nico Williams, and Bernardo Silva. Why? Because Campos cannot negotiate big files. We saw this last summer. We saw this the summer before, and we've seen it again. He couldn't go and negotiate with De Laurentiis and Napoli. He just couldn't do that. He just couldn't. Lenny Yoro, again, he couldn't do that. Nico, he couldn't. Bernardo Silva, he couldn't. The negotiation for big players is a huge weakness for Luis Campos. He just can't handle it. And now there are four different deals. Osimhen, Julian Alvarez, Desiree Doué, and João Neves. They are just stalling for so long. It's so hard for him to get over the line. It's so hard to progress the deals. And I don't know why. Is it because of the competition of other clubs? Desiree Doué, we're obviously competing with Bayern, João Neves, United, Osimhen, Chelsea, and Julian Alvarez, maybe Chelsea as well. Is this why it's taking so long time? Is because when another big club enters the negotiations, Campos just folds like a bitch? And the Xavi Simons case, obviously, we don't really know what he was mentioning when he was talking about betrayal and everything. But once again, who is the sporting director? It's Luis Campos. Who deserves critique and blame for a player like Xavi not wanting to stay at PSG? Once again, it's Luis Campos. And yes, I'm going to bring up Leonardo. I'm going to bring up Leonardo Araujo. He was our previous sporting director, obviously, before Luis Campos came in. And these are two totally different sporting directors. One, on the other hand, Luis Campos is great at attracting young, hungry, motivated players that can have a huge time at PSG. Whilst Leonardo is the opposite. He's looking for bling bling. He's looking for world class. He's looking for players that will immediately come to the club and give an impact. But the thing is, we need both. We need both. I would love having Luis Campos and Leonardo both as sporting directors because both of them are great at what they do. Leonardo is great at negotiating with big clubs for big players. Luis Campos is great at negotiating with small clubs for small players. Both are difficult to do, but both are great at what they do. But both have weaknesses. Always people talk about Leonardo having the weakness when it comes to signing, players at a young age and not putting too much money. But the same can be said for Luis Campos not being able to sign world-class players and actually putting money. Because guess what? You have to sometimes overprice. You have to sometimes give a player a high wage. And the thing is, it's like we've had Campos and Leonardo because Nasser has been doing the Leonardo job. Last season, Dembele and Lucas, the two best transfers that had the most impact for us last season, were Nasser signings, not even Luis Campos. Can you imagine, out of the 350 million we spent, the best two signings, it wasn't even like Ugarte, Gonçalo, Colo. Obviously, Colo was also a Nasser signing, but it's like we're having both because Luis Campos is so incompetent that Nasser Khalifi has to get in and do his job. Like, this club has attracted players like Angel Di Maria, Neymar Jr., Kylian Mbappe, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Lionel Andres Messi. But now we can't get players over the line. How many times has Nasser needed to jump into the file and rescue that fat pig Campos? Milan Skriniar, Desiree Doué, Harry Kane, Lenny Yoro, Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, all of these players, Nasser Khalifi has had himself to jump into the file and try to rescue it because Campos is so incompetent. He's so incompetent. When other clubs compete with us for the same players, we can't get them because Luis Campos is so incompetent. I've read some inside reports, obviously not that reliable, that say that people laugh at Campos. He's that bad at negotiating. Another thing I want to look at Luis Campos, which hasn't been a weakness for him in the past 2 windows, but has been a huge issue this window, and that's selling players. Luis Campos, when he came in the first 2 seasons, he offloaded so much garbage that Leonardo had collected this club, including Calimundo, Tilo Kerrer, Ariola, Sarabia, Guy, Draxler, Paredes, Diallo, Rafinha, Wijnaldo, Micardi. These are just some of them. But this window, once again, absolute disaster. We haven't sold a single player yet. I mean, Lamina went to like Ozero or John C or something, but we haven't sold like the big ones like Soler, like an Ugarte, like a Skriniar. What is Campos doing? He's not signing players. He's failing getting big players to the club. He's not even selling players. Like, what are you doing? But no, you know what? Let's give Luis Campos time. Let's give Luis Campos time. No, yeah, let's do that. Let's give because Luis Campos deserves time. I hate that argument so much. But going back to try to conclude this entire situation, I think Luis Campos, what he does best is probably the best in the world. He has to be the best in the world because the players that we have signed, the players that he signed to his previous clubs in Monaco and Lille, 2 teams that beat us to the Ligue 1 title, shows that Luis Campos can build a team. He can actually build a team, an entire squad, not just 11 players that can compete for big titles. But one thing with Luis Campos is it takes time to see the grains of his stuff. I'm not here to critique his past 2 windows. I enjoyed and I rated both of his previous transfer windows very highly, which you can obviously go and check back on my YouTube channel. But I think it's enough. If you look at our squad, what we have, Xavi Simons, Luka Levir, Bradley Barcola, Nuno Mendes, Gonçalo Ramos, Arnau Tenas, Manu Ugarte, Kangeli, Vitinha, Donnarumma, Mayulu, Zague, Zara Emre, Muscardo, Lemina, Husni, Kari, Endor, Garbi, Beraldo, and maybe some potential new signings. Like, we have at least 20 usable players under the age of 25. We don't need more youngsters. I think Luis Campos has done his job. And that's why this video is titled Campos Out, because I think Campos has done his job. As it's mentioned with Lille and Monaco, it took time for them to come into their prime and everything. But now we don't need young players anymore. We need, like, if we say next summer transfer window, we probably just need 3 world-class players. And then 3 world-class players. We need someone similar to Leonardo. It doesn't have to be Leonardo, but someone that can actually negotiate with big clubs for big players. Because we don't need youngsters anymore. We have at least 1 to 2 youngsters with great potential in every single position. Luis Campos, your job at this club is done. I'm happy. I'm grateful. I hope that you can recover for your abysmal transfer window and have a great ending to this transfer window. But this should be your last summer at Paris Saint Germain. And we can't forget the only reason you was brought into Paris Saint Germain was to satisfy the filthy rag Kylian Mbappe. Luis Campos, I'm extremely grateful for the time that you have had at this club, the team that you have built, and I will always remember every time Vitinha, every time Barcola, every time Beraldo, every time Muscardo, every time Kangeli, all of these players do something and impact this club in a great way. I will say that was a Campos signing. Let's give Campos his prop. Campos deserves it. But if we're purely talking about this summer transfer window, it's been absolutely by far the worst transfer window I've been through as a Paris Saint Germain fan. Let's hope Luis Campos can recover from this past month, but I don't want to hear anybody defend the past 2 months of this transfer window because it's been absolute abysmal. Absolute abysmal. That's been it from your boy PSG. Hopefully this is Luis Campos' last summer, and as usual, allez Paris.